Hey gang, welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100 collaboration channel, this great channel that I'm so pleased to be a part of. I have waited and waited and waited for this week since I started with these guys. I seen it on the list early and was very excited about what to do. So we're going to get into that in just a second, but first I would very much like to tone things down a little bit and say that I think we all need to take a few minutes of our time this holiday season and remember the families from Newtown. I know I'm kind of a big sap about this right now, but my son is the same age as the little children that were killed in that school shooting. So I seriously think the United States needs to take a look at a lot of things, possibly gun control, possibly mental health status. You know, we have to look at a lot of things, and maybe none of them are the answers, but maybe some of them are. So, I work in an environment with where mental health is very predominant, and I know there were probably warning signs even before anything like this happened. So, just sometime this holiday season, give your kids a hug and know that they could be gone in the twinkling of an eye. So let's all remember these families in this very, very, very hard season to get through, let alone with something as horrific as this. So, there we go. So, let's jump right into this. This is Star Wars week. I've been looking forward to this very much. Star Wars is absolutely my favorite franchise, hands down, of anything. Toys, books, comic books, movies. I've been in love with Star Wars since 1977 when Star Wars came out to the theater. My fondest memory is of Empire Strikes Back. I remember in the theater, my brother, who's a few years younger than me, the scene in Hoth where they close the gates and leave Han and Luke out in the snow closed, and Chewbacca yells really loud. I remember my brother throwing a hot dog, and it scared him, and he threw a hot dog, and it hit some guy behind us, and the guy was so cool that he went and my mom apologized to him, and he actually went up to the concession stand and got my brother another hot dog. And so just a little story about that. I'm not doing Empire Strikes Back. I'm going to follow suit, which luckily this landed me in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. It is my favorite of the prequel movies. I'm not a hater on the prequels. I really, really enjoyed every one of them for different reasons. Phantom Menace was very hard for me to swallow, but now that I watch it on Blu-ray, I can watch it with more open eyes. I see what Lucas was trying to do. I believe wholeheartedly that Lucas is a great writer, but I think it stops there. I think he got lucky with Star Wars, and luckily he passed Empire Strikes Back off to somebody that was classically trained in film direction. So, as far as that goes, that's my feelings on Star Wars. I do love all 6 movies. My order of movies would be Empire, Star Wars, Jedi, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace. Now, originally for this week, I wanted to do something oddball and off the wall, so I broke out the Star Wars Holiday Special, and I watched it, and I just couldn't do it. I fast forwarded through every musical number. I watched the cartoon that's attached to it, and that's about all I could get through. Something about B. Arthur singing in the middle of a Star Wars TV show it didn't work for me. But anyway, I put it down. I watched everybody else's videos this week. Everybody did a great job. We started with Al, who did Star Wars, and EJ did Empire, Ray did Jedi, Ian did Phantom Menace, and I will do Attack of the Clones, and I will leave Revenge of the Sith for the other 2 gentlemen to fight over. And whoever doesn't get it, you can watch the holiday special. So anyway, let's jump right into this. This is Star Wars: The Complete Saga, the Blu-ray. It's a little bit different than the UK edition I've seen Ian have. It is more of a digibook type of layout with some great artwork. And I've showed this off in some of my other videos. Very good paintings, even to the special features here. And the one we're going to talk about is Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which, aside from the name, I think it's a great movie. I absolutely hate the title of this movie. I think it should have just been called The Clone Wars, and it would have been fine. But I think they had other plans later on. This movie's only downfall to me is the dragging love story in the beginning. I'm all for Anakin falling in love, and that's what turns him to the dark side. What I don't understand is why it takes half the movie to do this. You know, you could have gradually introduced this love affair through the movie, and it would have been fine. But I think that in the beginning of the movie, when they first meet Padme for the first time after Anakin's training started, I just felt awkward myself with Anakin Skywalker, because to tell you the truth, he is a very whiny character, very needy, but at the same time, I can see that all of that together helped him turn to the dark side. I'll compare him to an athlete that's in high school, but let's go with the NBA. Okay? Just off the top of my head, let's go with Kobe Bryant. How did Kobe Bryant feel in high school when he was the caliber of player of an NBA professional? With football's not so much, but with basketball especially, LeBron James. LeBron James is from my home state. He tore up basketball through high school. He was definitely a NBA style player in high school, so he was so far advanced and being held back by his age that I can understand how he felt. So that I'm putting Anakin like that a little bit, and he felt he was already ready for this. And of course he was a child and he was wrong. And we've seen this growing up when we were teenagers and young adults. Of course we wanted to go do this, and I wanted to be independent, and I wanted to do this on my own, do this on my own. And you failed, and I failed, and that's just part of growing up. So that was Anakin's struggle in the beginning of this movie, which led him to fall in love with Padme, which, why in her right mind she would fall for this whiny guy, but she did. She saw something in him, and in that we have the beginning of Attack of the Clones. And of course he gets told that he is going to take her to Naboo and escort her to her safety, and he does. And at the same time, Obi-Wan is going to try to find out where this bounty hunter assassin was from. Going through the Jedi archives, we find that somebody has tampered with him. He, of course, finds his way, and he goes to the planet of Kamino, where apparently somebody's been fulfilling an order of clone soldiers that was placed by a Jedi named Sifo-Dyas, which you hear some about in the books, but not a lot. Of course, this brings up all kind of warning signs to Obi-Wan. Sifo-Dyas had died before this, blah, blah, blah. And we get to meet Jango Fett in our first look at Boba Fett, who is, we find out, a unaltered clone, basically a son, an exact replica of his father, but essentially a son instead of a clone. And he is given to Jango to raise. Well, of course, he gets wind of why Obi-Wan's there for real. And then there's a gigantic fight with him and Obi-Wan. And of course, Obi-Wan goes after him. And he goes to Genosha, following Obi-Wan, gets captured, sends out a distress signal. Anakin and Padme are, at this point, trying to figure out the root of Anakin's nightmares. He keeps seeing his mother, so he goes back to Tatooine, and this is the first time we really see Anakin act out. And from this point on, it's really fast progression with Anakin's dark side travel. When he slaughters that family of Tusken Raiders, we see him transfer to the dark side right there. That's it. He's already gone. His mother's gone, and from that point, there's no turning back. He's already broken the law of the forbidden love, and now he's killed this entire village, women and children and everything. So he's going that way. So Anakin and them, of course, get the distress signal. They contact the Senate and the Jedi Council. They go to save Obi-Wan. They get captured as well. At this point, they're all going to die. They're in an arena with the Geonosians and the Count Dooku, who we find out is the hidden Sith member of the movie, Darth Tyrannus, Lord Tyrannus, Darth Tyrannus. They call him different names, but it's Darth Tyrannus is his Sith name. There's a big battle that happens with the Jedi, those three characters and the Geonosians, and we find the battle droids coming in, and the clone troopers swoop in and save the day. We're introduced to a whole bunch of Jedis. This is our first really big scene with lots of Jedis and lots of soldiers and the clones. And this is what I love about Star Wars. My favorite books to read are the Clone Wars saga books, because I love the military aspect of the clone soldiers. The Republic Commandos, there are some really good books if you want to read those. There's the 4-book series, very, very good stories. And we finally see the Clone Wars. We've been waiting, 35 years for the Clone Wars. 30 years, however long it was when Episode 2 came out. We waited for the Clone Wars. We always heard about them. What were they? Let me see them. So we finally get to see them. And at this point we see a couple different things. We see Jango Fett die, and possibly this is the turning point of Boba Fett, where it's like, no, I'm done. I'm going to go into this work, and that kind of thing. So, and then at the same time we see possibly Obi-Wan realizing that Padme and Anakin are more than friends, and they take off from the battle, and they're chasing Dooku, or Darth Tyrannus. They get to Aunt Padme falls out of the ship. Anakin, of course, goes nutty. He wants to save her. Again, we flash forward to the dark side that's coming out in him. It's everything Obi-Wan can do to suppress this. So, but he does. And they get to the docking bay and go in, and Darth Tyrannus is there. Obi-Wan has this big plan that they're going to take him, and they're going to be able to take him together, which Anakin doesn't do. He's too hot-headed. He goes straight in for the kill. Of course, gets himself hurt. Obi-Wan gets hurt. Anakin gets back up. We see a really cool, the first time we ever see dual lightsabers fighting, and of course loses his arm, in essence of like his son will eventually. And at this point we see Master Yoda, and I swear to you, I've never been in a theater that got so excited. There were people standing and clapping and cheering when Yoda pulls his lightsaber out. It is probably one of the most cheerful movie moments I've ever had. Even today, when I rewatched this before I did this video, I still scooted up to the edge of my seat to watch Yoda go ape shit on this guy. A great sword fight, and then Yoda sacrifices the fight to save his fellow Jedis. Dooku gets away, and that's about it. That pretty much wraps it up. We see more of Anakin coming out as dark at that point. Towards the end of the movie, Yoda and Mace Windu and Obi-Wan are talking about the Sith War and the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars have begun. Where's Anakin? He's escorting Padme back to Naboo. and we see the secret ceremony where they get married. And right there is where the turning point of everything dark is. He's officially left the Jedi Order in mind. He's still part of the Jedi's in a cloak, but he's broken so many of the laws there's no turning back, and we'll see his progression through Scott or Dino's video. Whoever does Revenge of the Sith will find out more of his turning to the dark side. So, and that's about it. I thoroughly enjoyed this review. I enjoyed opening up the box set. I'll probably watch the rest of them now just to get into it. This movie on Blu-ray looks amazing. The digital effects for every part of this are great. It does not get hurt at all. I will say on the 3 original trilogy movies, I've always thought of this as Lucas's baby, so I have no right to say that I think it's garbage or whatever, what he did in 97. You know, they're his movies. The only thing that ever bothered me was them putting Hayden Christensen in the spot of Obi-Wan, or of Anakin at the end of Jedi. That's the only thing that ever bothered me. When Vader grabs the Emperor and he has his little you don't really even notice it. He probably would have done it. So I'm not going to trash talk anything. If anything, Empire actually benefited from the special editions with the space battles are cleaned up. The space battle that some of the guys were talking about in Jedi above Endor, it looks amazing in Blu-ray. They have cleaned up a lot of the square blocks and around the ships, and it's just very, very beautiful. So definitely run out and grab Star Wars The Complete Saga on Blu-ray. Give the prequels another shot. I know some people are they can't watch Phantom Menace. They don't like it. They don't like Jar Jar. I had a small child with Jar Jar, so I learned to like him because he laughed at him. And so it was a little easier for me to integrate Jar Jar. I just thought of him as C-3PO was our comic relief in the original trilogy, so Jar Jar was a sad attempt, but still, he wasn't that bad of a character, so I'll forgive. But I'm also blinded by Star Wars, so. Anyway, thanks for coming by. This is, again, the Movie Reviewers 100 collaboration channel. My name is James, also known as DVD Collector 1974. I cannot wait to watch Scott's review on whatever he picks, and please watch the other guys' reviews. They were all amazing. Even Ian's. Ian cracks me up. I can't stop watching his videos. He just cracks me up just to watch them. So anyway, DVD Collector or James, sorry. Thanks for watching. We're gonna take off next week for Christmas. We'll be back the 21st with Big Al. So Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a great holiday season, and remember, please keep Newtown in your prayers this holiday season. So later.